have to start tonight by saying thank you to all of you. Today, I had the honor of a lifetime. And that is not hyperbole. I had the honor of a lifetime. And it's an honor I received through no merit of my own, but through your merit, through the merit of this congregation and Rabbi Shira and Abby Marcus. And I want to tell you a story to lead up to that moment. Hold on, I need to check one detail, forgive me. Today I used paper. I never use paper, but a little paper for right now. Great, okay. On March 2nd, 1955, a young woman named Claudette Colvin, who lived in Montgomery, Alabama, she had been studying for the last month Black history in America, had been studying the Constitution, and she got on a bus in Montgomery and sat up towards the front. A little while later, some white passengers got on, and the bus driver told her to move to the back. 3 of her friends got up and moved, but Claudette stayed in her seat. She was glued to that chair and has been glued to that chair for history, throughout history. She said that while she sat there, she had the hands of Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman pushing her and holding her down in her seat. Later, police officers came and dragged her off the bus while she, I learned, said some words that I won't say on the bima, and also recited words of Psalms. She was brought into a police car and threatened with horrible words and violence, booked, arrested. She did all this 9 months before Rosa Parks. She did all this and her name almost lost to history, but not here. That name, I didn't cry when I talked today. I cried when other people talked today, and I'll cry now. Her name is not lost in this congregation. Her name is not lost here. She sparked and started a revolution. The first, not the one with a big picture in the Smithsonian, not the one written about in books, but she was one of the 5 named plaintiffs in Browder v. Gale, a Supreme Court case in 1956, I believe, that declared segregation in public accommodations unconstitutional. Claudette fled Montgomery. Eventually, she made her way to the Bronx, lived most of her life there as a nurse, knowing her job was to care for the world and build the world as she knew it could be. In 2017, this congregation, some of you in the room, went on a civil rights trip with Rabbi Shira and with Abby Marcus to Montgomery and Selma and Birmingham and other cities. While you were there, you learned Claudette's story. And when you came back to Westchester, you learned that Claudette was living in the Bronx, not so far away. A few of you went and met her. Some of you celebrated her birthday with her, became friends with her and her family. And in 2019, you invited her right here to be the inaugural recipient of Kol Ami's Be the Light Social Justice Award. We're a little nervous, unsure if that would work, what that would look like. And you brought her here. I spoke to Rabbi Shira about that moment. She said it started a little awkward and tenuous, but then Claudette came alive and she was powerful and vibrant and shared her story and moved the hearts of this community and inspired the hearts of the young people in this room, which is what she set about doing in her life. A young girl, 15 years old, who did something no one had ever done before. Brave enough to stay in her seat and start a revolution. She did not know what she was doing in that moment, but we now know what she did and what she began. And this congregation, this community saw that fit for honor and celebration. And we learned earlier this month, though some of you knew this in the years since, that that moment of honor meant so much to her. She passed away on January 13th of this year. And her sister Gloria reached out to Rabbi Shira and to Abby Marcus and said that in the years since that meeting, that gathering, that moment of honor on our bima, it had touched her heart and stayed with her and meant so much to her that Gloria wanted Rabbi Shira to speak at her memorial service at Abyssinian Baptist Church. Rabbi Shira right now is in Arizona. So when Rabbi Shira got that email, she called me. My hands are still shaking from that moment. She said, "Jason, I can't be there. I think you should speak." And I said, "I don't know if I should speak." I didn't know her. I'm just learning the story. I knew her name. I knew little pieces of her story, but not enough. I said, there's got to be some other rabbi. Call David Saperstein, call Jonah Pesner, and there's got to be some other Jewish community, Jewish name that would be worthy. And Shira said, no, it's this place. This Jewish community is the one that connected with Claudette, who stayed in her heart for those years, who elevated and inspired her and her family. It mattered to them that Kol Ami was present. And so, through no merit of my own, because I have the title of one of the rabbis here at Kol Ami, I had the incredible privilege of standing at Abyssinian Baptist Church with legislators and heads of major national civil rights organizations, with radio personalities, TV commentators, people who are changing the world. And I got to be the rabbi to say a word in that moment, to connect the rest of that community to this congregation and the sacred work that you did. The honor of a lifetime. Thank you. I promised Jess that I would read you some of what I shared this morning. I'm not going to read all of it. I was given 2 minutes. I think I went 2:47 after I shared that story of connection. I offered. You could tell I was nervous because I wrote it down on a piece of paper. I said, Claudette was our Nachshon. Nachshon, a character from Jewish lore not known by all, but whose story carries the key to redemption. Our sages teach that as the Israelites marched out of slavery towards the promise of new hope and opportunity, they came upon a seemingly insurmountable obstacle. The sea blocked their path. Moses took his staff, raised his arm, and nothing happened. And then, the story goes, Nachshon, a person of strength, a person who had seen too much violence and cruelty, who knew that the future must be different, took the first step into the water. With words of faith on his lips, he took another step, and then another, and then another, and when the water reached his mouth, the sea split. Seas do not split through faith alone, but through the courage of those who take the first step, those willing to act and insist that the world can and must be different. Claudette was our Nachshon. She was the brave first step. Through her courage, seas split so others could follow in her footsteps. Through her merit, we can walk hand in hand on the long, long journey toward fulfilling the promise. No matter the cruelties of the world and those who would seek to deny, erase, and tear down the sacred work of heroes like Claudette, hers is a story that will endure because we will repeat it for generations to come. To walk into that green room, I joined some of the family at dinner at Sylvia's in Harlem, a historic soul food restaurant. This chicken was really good. I brought Gavi cornbread. I walked in and they had never seen me before, and they were so grateful that I was there. And I knew that was not about me. I was there with all of you. It's been a wild few days, forgive me. I brought you into that restaurant. I brought you into that church. I lifted up your work and your voices. Thank you for that gift. And our work isn't done. It's the beginning of Black History Month. I learned today it's the 100th anniversary of Black History Month. And today, the person entrusted with leading our nation posted vile, disgusting, racist images. There are too many in our nation who are working to claw back the work that people like Claudette did, that set us on a path towards justice, equality, towards living up to our values as a nation. The work is not yet done. Claudette took the first step, and we have to continue the work. Last week in our Torah, the sea split. This week, we receive mission. This week, we stand at the base of a mountain and are reminded of who we are. We have the gift of the revelation of Torah. We are told who we are and who we can be as a nation. And next week, it's our job to do it, to build it, to know our history, to see where we have come, how we have marched hand in hand out of the narrow place, through the sea towards sacred expanse on our way to the promise that we might never achieve, but we will keep walking there together. Today, we hold the tablets in our hands, in their brokenness and in their promise. We are given mission and purpose. And our job, our sacred obligation, the responsibility that this community knows, because we have stories that we have inherited and that we have insisted must be lifted up so that we can know the truth of where we have come from, to celebrate the courageous people who put life and limb on the line to make our nation what it ought to be. And our job moving forward is to honor that history and that legacy. The people who move out of the narrow space. The people glued to the seat, who stand up for justice, mercy, compassion, equality, who want to build a nation and a world worthy of our heritage. What a gift we have of these stories and of this legacy. And I am so honored to do that work with all of you. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May the memory of Claudette Colvin, this righteous woman, be for everlasting blessing. May we continue to speak her name and share her story. Shabbat Shalom.